Hello, welcome to Monday Night Live 29. We're on a little bit of a different feed now.
Different time zone here.
Different time zone. We're working on getting everything right. So we've got some people. We've probably lost some people on the way across. So we've got everyone here. Glad everyone's joining us now. So yes.
We're all good.
So has everyone got us? Beautiful.
Okay.
Yes. G'day everyone. Keith's here, Deborah's here, stacks of people here. Brooks here. Right, good.
Eureka Stockade night.
We are Eureka Stockade night. You've seen in the background there our
The Eureka Hotel.
Our Eureka Hotel. Now this is Sovereign Hill. So apparently they do a nighttime show at Sovereign Hill. Every night they burn the Eureka Stockade down. It's a very resilient
hotel. Yeah.
Very resilient building. So,
it is, apparently.
Yeah.
I thought they built it the next morning real quick.
Yeah. Some carpentry work there.
Yeah.
So but yes, so yes, tonight's Eureka Stockade. And for those who don't know, I'm Ben from Gold Diggers. Got a shop here in Brisbane. Warren from NQ Explorers, the world's greatest YouTube channel. And we do Monday Night Live, happens every Monday night. And tonight we're going to give away a Ace 200 from Garrett. Garrett's helped us out this week, so we'll give away an Ace 200, good little starter machine for
Gold Rush relics.
For Gold Rush relics, and all you need to do is share this post to while we're going. Share this post, so and at the end of the show we'll give away the live stream. We'll get the randomizer going.
Yeah, the randomizer.
Yeah.
The Phoenix team driven randomizer.
Yeah, exactly. So right, so okay, so guys, if you're on here, you might need to go to the other live stream. We've actually got we'll actually just go in here, and there's a few people waiting on the other. We had a little slight technical glitch tonight. So I'm deleting the old video, and you
have to refresh your screen.
Yeah, you will have to refresh your screen. So, but we're certainly live. We're all here, and we're having a heap of fun. So yes. Well, sorry, I'm just going to get this live stream happening here. We'll get the comments up here. So, okay. So we may as well start with the Eureka Stockade. So this is the only time in Australia's history that we've gone. Well,
it's not the only time we were taking up arms, but
no.
yeah.
Well, the Rum Rebellion.
Well, there was a Vinegar Hill thing.
Yeah.
Which was an Irish rebellion more than anything.
Yeah.
The convict rebellion. But the thing about there's only been one successful overthrow of government by arms in Australia, and that was the Rum Rebellion in 1808.
Yeah. So that was what was the base?
Well, that was the New South Wales Corps.
Yeah.
It was a British regiment.
Yeah.
Who came out with the First Fleet, and they were later, actually, interesting, they later served in the War of 1812 against the Americans after they left Australia.
Oh.
The New South Wales Corps, what became the Regiment of Foot when they went over there. But so basically Governor Bligh turns up and he wants to change the rum currency system that was basically being run by the army. It was pretty corrupt.
Yeah.
But the whole economy, you see, that when they established the colonies, the convict colonies, there was no money. And that was the intention. There was never going to be any money. It was just a barter system operating, and it evolved as ships came in from overseas. It evolved into bartering what they called rum, but that was all kinds of alcohol.
Yeah.
It wasn't just rum. And the New South Wales Corps got very rich, and the officers of the New South Wales Corps ran the rum trade, and so they granted themselves land, and in the CBD of Sydney, which is pretty valuable stuff.
Yeah.
Even in 1788.
Yeah.
So when Governor Bligh came along, he decided he was going to clean all this up. This is Bligh from the Bounty. and
he got himself into some strife.
He got himself some strife coming over here.
Yeah, well,
because he took over from he wasn't in command of the fleet that brought him out here, but he took over the fleet, and he sacked the captain of the Porpoise, and appointed his son-in-law as the new captain of the ship. Like it was just anyway. So anyway, the New South Wales court ousted Bligh in a coup, a military coup.
Yep.
I mean, there's all sorts of stories about Bligh hiding under the bed and all that sort of stuff in full military uniform. We don't know if that happened or not.
Yeah.
I like to think it did. And so the country, so the colony of New South Wales ran under military law for 2 years until 1810, when Macquarie turned up.
Yeah.
So that was the only time, though, that the government's been overthrown.
Yeah.
Vinegar Hill battle was the Irish convicts.
Yeah.
And then we got a Eureka, of course.
Eureka, and that was the last
time that I remember we took up arms against the government.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as I know.
That was the last one.
Yeah, that was the last one.
So, because we've got a lot of overseas viewers, people might not know where Ballarat is.
Yeah.
So, what I've done here is we've just got a little graphic here. So, Ballarat's in Victoria, the southern part.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, it was Victoria at that stage.
Colony of Victoria.
Yeah. So.
And Hotham was the governor at the time, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, Hotham
became the
arrived.
governor.
Yeah,
And for anyone overseas to understand, that was the richest bit of ground for gold that's ever been discovered on the planet.
Yeah.
The Golden Triangle, Victoria.
Yeah.
And the world's largest gold nuggets.
Yeah.
Like
it was
I think
all
8 of the top 10 largest pieces of gold ever discovered.
Yeah.
Like
it was all pretty.
The money that was floating around was beyond belief for the time. And the thing you got to remember about gold rushes in a gold rush is a phenomenon of the 19th century that was unique to the Western world.
Yeah.
Because there was no gold rushes before the Industrial Revolution or transport. So you had gold rushes in California, Canada, New Zealand, Australia. Yeah. Pretty much.
But more recently, probably Africa.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
but I mean, the concept of a gold rush, that was the first time it had happened.
Yeah.
Like when blokes are just throwing everything up in the air and they're gone.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, the first gold discovered in Australia, in New South Wales, was hidden from the government said, hush all this up, it'll be the death of us.
Yeah.
Because they knew that they needed all this skilled, like you had lawyers and tradesmen just running to the goldfields to find gold.
Oh.
So the cities were emptying out.
Well, I read an article, just a bit of an aside, that out of the 80 constables in Melbourne, once the word got out about the Golden Triangle, they had 2.
Yeah, that's right.
78 just took off.
You're not earning much as a copper.
No.
But you can dig up a piece of gold that's going to be a year's wages.
Oh, absolutely.
And the thing is, like, there was only 2 colonies at the time. Of course, there was Tasmania, and there was a massive drain of skilled labour and men and equipment from Tasmania into Victoria and New South Wales. And so the Tasmanian colonial government put up a reward saying, look, someone's got to find gold in Tasmania, please. We've got to stop this.
Yeah.
And they did on the west coast.
Yeah.
And it sort of arrested. It was never the kind of gold rush they had on the mainland, but they got plenty of gold in Western Tasmania too. But the issue was there, so many Tasmanians went to Victoria.
Yeah.
And Californians from the minor 49ers all came down to Australia.
Yep.
And they got involved in Eureka too.
Yeah. And that's the story of gold rushes, isn't it? Like, particularly around Australia, that new fields found. Yeah. The old one clears out.
Like we were talking about earlier, it started in the 1850s. Like it went round in a big anti-clockwise circle. Southeastern Australia, then it went up through Queensland, into North Queensland by the 1870s.
Yep.
And then by the 1890s, the big gold finds in WA.
Yeah.
So like all that stuff, all those big gold fields were discovered in the middle of the late 19th century.
And a lot of these gold fields, like the gold fields that I play around with up here in Queensland, a lot of them would just completely empty.
Oh,
something's happened here.
And because the white diggers would go to the next rush, and then the Chinese would move in onto the claims and clean them up.
Yep.
And then they'd come back, and that's when there's issues, because if you keep following rushes, you're not always going to be successful. Yeah. Actually, if you are following a rush, you probably weren't successful. Or you drank it all.
Yeah, exactly.
So a lot of these miners came back to their old claims to find the Chinese were there, and that's when all sorts of issues with that kind of thing too. So it was incredibly colourful history.
Yeah, and a lot of it's lost, isn't it?
It's lost. And the thing is, the only reason that Australia is a wealthy modern nation is because of those gold rushes.
Yeah.
And then mining of other kinds, but
the rush in Victoria, right? That bailed Britain
Yeah.
out of enormous
Exactly,
debt.
exactly.
Like it had a real prosperous
Yeah. Just look at this
era
exactly.
because of
Yeah.
the Victorian
I know.
gold. So
I know.
yeah,
It was, and the thing is, the story goes that when they found Gympie, Queensland had just become a colony.
Yep.
They had a couple of pounds left in the till, and they sort of said, "We're buggered, boys."
Yep.
And then someone's kicked the door, and we found gold in Gympie, and
Yeah,
it was on.
yeah, exactly.
And all of a sudden, the government's got money.
Yeah.
Like that's how these colonies weren't even viable without the gold rushes.
So that brings us to Lieutenant Governor Charles Hotham. He arrives in Victoria, June of 1854, right? The place is in debt.
Yep.
Huge debt.
There's no one in Melbourne.
Yeah, exactly.
It's huge debt.
Yeah. So he comes up with the cunning plan of going, right, let's increase these.
This is the problem. The problem starts.
This is where it begins.
Yeah.
Let's increase those mining license, and let's go and enforce it and make sure everyone's
several times a week.
Yeah. Enforce it to make sure everyone's got it. So it went up to £3. Now you were doing some maths.
I was just looking before,
right?
In 1851, which is several years earlier, an unskilled labourer in Victoria, let's say you're a farm hand or you're working as a maid or something in a hotel, or just unskilled labour.
Yep.
We're getting £2 a month.
Right.
Now the government wants a digger to pay £3 a month just in licence fees before he even earns any money.
And
that's a stupendous amount of money.
Yeah, has a beer or a
he's got to
buys
take his
a
costs.
shovel or
Everything costs him money.
Yeah,
he's got to sleep somewhere.
And nothing's cheap on the goldfields.
Nothing's cheap on the goldfields.
Yeah.
The bullock charging them for tobacco and tea something ridiculous amount.
Yeah,
I mean the bullockers and the packers made a lot more money than the miners.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But and the worst thing about all that was the traps of the police were ruthless.
Yeah,
they were corrupt. They were kicking indoors and kicking in the door of a tent every night. Where's your licence?
Yeah.
Or they're pulling you off your diggings to check your licence.
Yeah.
And you're imprisoned if you didn't have a licence.
Yeah, which is
and the main issue there is we'll pay your tax, but we can't vote for anyone because there's no democracy.
Yeah, exactly.
Here.
No voting.
So we've got no right to vote. We've got no control over what the government does to us.
Yeah.
And as they call it, it was just tyranny in the times. That's what they called it at the time. Because basically the government's enforcing their will on people that had no choice in the matter.
Exactly.
And no say in the matter.
So, in this sort of powder keg situation,
boiling pot,
where the blokes aren't happy with the thingo, with the increase in the miner's licence, then the police are kicking doors in.
Yeah.
Right. They're checking licences all the time.
Yeah.
Right. Scooby gets murdered.
Yep.
James Scooby gets murdered outside the Eureka Hotel, which is
burning behind us.
Nightly,
apparently.
Not nightly, yeah.
Probably burning right now as we're talking, actually.
Yeah, probably is. Yeah. So that's at Sovereign Hill. You can go and view that, and they do a light show and tell the story of Eureka Stockade. So it's worthwhile doing if you're down that way and like that sort of thing. So,
so the murder of Scooby. This is pivotal to the whole thing.
Well, it is, yeah. And James Bentley, the owner of the Eureka Hotel, was
convicted.
Well, no, he wasn't. He had a hand in it.
Yeah, he had a hand in it. But the magistrate was corrupt.
Well, so I don't know how much you can read into present day stuff when you look at what's going on, and then you look at it back then. But right. So the story is that the Bentley was owed money by the magistrate, right? So, of course, he wasn't going to convict Bentley.
No.
So,
and everyone knew what was going on in town.
Exactly. So,
and no one could trust the police.
Yep.
No one could trust the legal system.
Yep.
And no one had a say in what was going on.
Yeah.
And then every night you get a knock on your tent door. Where's your licence?
Absolutely.
Give us another £3.
And then Bentley gets acquitted.
Bentley gets acquitted.
Yep.
Bentley gets acquitted. So what's going on there? Obviously, there was a few tempers were flaring at this time.
Understandably. So, yes. So,
you got to. I think you got to going back to earlier than this. You got to think about the system that the people involved in Eureka were involved in. Of course, many of them were natural-born Australians at the time, and some were emancipated convicts, and some were free settlers. A lot of them were travellers from overseas, Californians and Kiwis, who came to dig gold, and most of them did not want to return to a system of imperial rule. We had classes. And someone, was better than you, telling you what to do. And this is what, to me, I know the Anzac legend is what we sort of base our whole Australian ethos on. But it came, the boys that went to Anzac, the first Anzacs they were products of this system. That came out of Eureka, in my opinion. We're not going to have anyone in authority telling us what to do. Everyone's equal. We're all the same. Doesn't matter if you've got a degree in law or you're just a common labourer. Everyone in this country gets a fair go. So we're not going to have you redcoats pushing us around and telling us what to do. You know what I mean? And I think that, to me, that was just central to the whole, we're not putting up with this anymore.
And that's probably where that comes from through the whole Australian culture.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
absolutely.
You read stories about the diggers in Egypt,
just
doing whatever they wanted.
Crazy stuff that went on.
Like
there was no control.
No,
you can't tell an Aussie what to do. That's the problem.
Exactly.
But that's the whole point.
We're like 3-year-old kids.
Yeah, I know. or you'll do, if you suggest something to an Aussie, they'll do the exact opposite.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just the way we are. So I think that Eureka, these boys from Eureka and through to Anzac and even to today are born to this system where we're all equal or not. We're going to put up with this oppression and we're going to have a say in what's going on.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
We're not going to, just because the government says this...
We're not going to either put up with it or believe it.
Yep.
And we'll change the government if we don't like it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what happens now, obviously.
Yeah.
So, Australian democracy evolved from this, and this is how Eureka is often seen as the root of Australian democracy. And it's a bit disappointing when I was researching a lot of this, and I have been for years, in modern times we've had Victorian premiers, past Victorian premiers saying, look, Eureka's a bit talked, it's over-talked, wasn't really a big deal, it's not really... Does he have any, do you have any idea what it was like in 1854, how important this was?
Yeah.
Like the outrage over what happened.
Oh, absolutely.
And we haven't even got to what happened yet.
Yeah. And that, you can understand why people, where the miners keep this flag around, the Eureka flag around, because it means so much.
Yeah, it does.
And
the first time they put, and they swore the allegiance to the Southern Cross under the flag for the first time on Bakery Hill.
Yeah.
Really important, pivotal part of Australian history.
Yeah, exactly. So
anyway,
Bentley's acquitted. Okay. While we're having a break here, some questions about how we win and what are we winning. Tonight we're winning an Ace 200 tonight. And to win it, you've got to share the live stream. In about the 40 minutes odd, we're going to draw this out. It'll be picked, it'll be randomly drawn out by whoever shares it. So I'm Ben from Gold Diggers, and this is Warren from NQ Explorers. We're having a big push on at the moment for Warren's YouTube channel. We need to get that to 10,000 in the next week.
Next week, probably I'll have a video up on YouTube, but I'll share it on Facebook with the giveaway. The big giveaway.
Really? The big announcement?
The big announcement.
Oh, right. Beautiful.
Better think something up, shouldn't I?
Right.
There was someone just asked what the background was, so
that's Sovereign Hill. They do a show I think it's every night, but you'd probably have to, I'm no expert on Sovereign Hill. It's a bit of a tourist. It's one of the best tourist experiences in Australia. It's just, a long time since I've been there, but it's been kicking along for a long time. But so that's Sovereign Hill. So get along to get along there and have a look if you're into that sort of thing. So that's our background for tonight. And
it would just, I think, relevant to what we were saying is about, we haven't got into Eureka fully yet, but it's close to what's happening in Victoria now, is where the government, once again, wants to close all this forests and state parks and in central Victoria to public access.
Yeah.
And I think, well, I talked to a lot of people when I was in Victoria last week, and a lot of them were on the edges of the prospecting industry or the outdoor,
Yep.
and they had no idea this was going on.
Yeah.
So it's sort of coming under the radar a bit.
Yeah.
I know the PMAV's fighting the fight, but
And there's a good group, United Bush Users. They got about 6,500 people,
Oh,
but
good on
that's nowhere near enough
no,
to people, sort
because
of thing. So.
it's just got to get out there more. It's got to get out in the public, and it's not in the government's interest to make it too public.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is some kind of sneaky move, but if you want to close all that forest and know it, you've got to tell people you're going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people, I know they have public consultations, but once again, it's a situation. I don't understand why
Yeah.
we would need to. I mean, I understand why some areas are heritage listed because there's old ruins and. You know,
And I understand
Yeah.
the sacred sites for the
sacred sites for
Aborigines as
Aboriginal
well.
Australians, that's all fine.
Fine.
But not just
10,000
closing the
hectares.
diggings, closing an old bit of Wombat State Forest, which is an enormous forest full of gold,
Yeah.
just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. It's a bit. Yeah. It's full.
Well, I don't understand the rationale of it, put it that way.
Well, I do.
Yeah.
It's a Labor government supported by Greens.
Oh, okay.
You know, the Greens don't want you to
No.
step
Well,
off the pavement.
You know, the environmental issue's not even relevant anymore.
No.
There's
But,
that ground's that degraded.
Yeah. Well, yes. Anyway, let's not go too far down that track.
So, what's happened with the miners aren't happy about that? Oh no, we've got past that. We've got, got the magistrate.
So Bentley's acquitted of Scooby's murder.
That's right. Yep.
So the miners decide, let's go up to the Eureka
Bakery Hill.
Here,
The hotel, which
the
is
hotel,
yeah,
right, and discuss the next course of action.
Yeah.
Right, with Bentley's acquittal.
Because it was boiling up in Bendigo too, and all around the Victorian Goldfields.
Exactly.
It wasn't just Ballarat.
Yeah,
Wasn't just Ballarat.
it came to a head in Ballarat.
Yeah, it came to a head in Ballarat.
And really, there's a lot of things that happened in Ballarat that caused it all to really come to a head.
Ballarat was the epicentre of the whole thing.
Because Scooby getting killed.
Yeah.
Right. Then the owner of the pub getting acquitted.
Yeah.
Because the magistrate was corrupt.
Yeah.
Right. And then the boys got a bit carried away when we went up to the meeting and burnt the pub down.
Yeah.
Like this.
And apparently there was redcoats there, a bit of a scuffle, but they were overwhelmed by the miners.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Because we're talking thousands of miners kicking around.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't be a safe place for a section of redcoats.
We might call them old timers now, but they're all in their 20s and 30s. These boys are pretty fired up.
And swinging a pick most of the day, they'd be fit
tough
as all
as
hell.
nails.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
And burning of licences, this was starting to go on.
Well, shortly.
Yeah.
Shortly. We haven't quite got to that
we'll
yet.
get to the burning of licences.
So that was October. So we've got
The timeline.
We've got June. Hotham, the government arrives, right? By October, the pub's burnt down, right? So things have gone downhill. Then
they got even angry when they realised the pub had burnt down. They couldn't get a drink, and they'd burnt. I
think there was another.
Probably more than one pub in Ballarat.
I'm sure with the diggers
There's
around.
probably 300 pubs in Ballarat. Although a lot of pubs are just a bit of calico over a log.
Yeah. So then a few days later, the redcoats got up enough courage and they arrested a few of these blokes that burnt the pub down. So yes. So all this time, so there's really two groups of who were leading this rebellion.
Yeah.
There were the talkers, and there were the violent.
Yeah. I get it. The way I look at it these days, and this eventually leads to Laylaw being elected as their head of the militia, basically.
Yep.
Was that these days they call it doves and hawks in the government.
Yeah.
Like the doves want peace and talk about everything.
Yeah.
The hawks want action and they're going to go and kick bums.
Yeah.
So the hawks are starting to get control.
Yeah.
They've
with
had
all
enough of
this happening, and probably the burning down the pub was really the start.
Probably
of
wasn't the doves.
No, I don't think it would have been. No.
They would have stayed there talking all night.
A few blokes would have had a few to drink.
Oh yeah, look. Yeah, I think it would have been pretty wild times, really.
Yeah.
And don't forget, everyone's armed to the teeth.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a shot could go off at any time.
Yeah. And some of the areas that these guys were paying £3 a month for were tiny. Like
Well, I know some areas of Queensland.
6 square metres.
An older lease. Yeah, I think it was 50 feet by 50 feet.
Yeah.
Now I can take you. I can guarantee I can take you a spot where you won't find gold in a piece of land that small.
Oh, absolutely.
And because I've been to plenty of them, I haven't found gold in them.
Yeah.
So you could get a lease that's an absolute duffer, and you're paying £3 a month.
Yeah.
Just for the privilege of having it.
Yeah.
And if you don't have your licence, you get arrested.
Yeah. Exactly.
So you've got no income.
Yeah.
And the government's taken a big slice of your savings.
Yeah.
If you have any.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So there was stacks and stacks of people. The stacks of people that were going to the commissioner and the head of police, and there was even a group that went down to Melbourne,
Like a delegation
to the governor to say, let's see.
Can we sort
let's sort this out.
Yeah, we've got to talk.
The Dubs and the Hawks. The Dubs are down there in Melbourne trying to say, well, let's sort this out.
Yeah.
And, otherwise it's going to turn violent, what have you. So, because of that effort, Bentley was rearrested.
Yep.
So, the guy that
was first accused
of Scooby's murder, right? And he was and through that he was sentenced to jail.
Right.
It was found that it was a corrupt.
Because the magistrate had bolted with his wife. He had to leave town.
Yeah.
Because the boys were after him.
Yeah. So it was a really violent time.
Yeah.
So that fixes the Scooby problem up.
Yeah.
Right. That the bloke goes to jail for it. Right. But it doesn't solve the $3-quitter.
Doesn't solve the miners' problem.
The miners' right.
And the lack of voting rights or representation, if you like.
Yeah. So then we get to Bakery Hill.
Yeah.
This is Bakery Hill.
Yeah.
So, and with Bakery Hill, 12,000 miners
at a meeting.
Arrive to have a meeting, and there's some representatives there, I believe, from the governor.
There is, and there's a few spies reporting to the traps too.
Yeah. And
in amongst them.
That was the first time that the Eureka flag was flown.
Yeah, and they swore the allegiance to the Southern Cross.
Yeah, exactly. I've got that here somewhere, since we didn't...
And there's some conjecture about whether or not the Union flag was flown under it, because they didn't want to isolate... Because a lot of the miners still wanted to have an allegiance to the Queen Victoria, and get this sorted out. So they didn't want to... But there were secessionists. They wanted to leave the Crown. I mean, that was never going to be an option.
Yeah.
But,
and it's contentious as well, where it was...
Yeah, well, they're not really sure where Eureka Stockade exactly was.
Yeah.
It's probably not where the memorial is.
No.
It was on Bakery Hill somewhere.
Yeah.
Because it was all, I think afterwards it was all mined and dug up anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's a pretty rich ground.
Yeah,
so, you, of course the boys aren't going to leave it around.
No.
Leave it alone. So, so that's Bakery Hill.
And this is, we're getting to the point where Laylaw gets elected as the Ballarat Reform League.
Yeah. Well, the Ballarat Reform League was formed earlier than that.
It was.
Right.
That was the organisation that made the representations.
Yeah.
So at this point they decide they're going to elect a new leader.
Well, that's a bit contentious too. I've read 2 or 3 reports this week. One said the leader didn't show up.
Right. So Laylaw got the key. So
Laylaw stepped up.
Yeah.
Right. And the other said, it's what they voted him in. So
I think whatever happened, Laylaw was definitely pro action.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With Laylaw as a leader, they were consciously knowing they were probably going to go to battle.
Yeah. And Laylaw had some history.
Yeah.
Because his brother was involved in the Irish Revolution.
Yeah. And that's also an issue too, because it's Irish. There was most of the diggers on Bakery Hill were Irish.
Yeah.
And so later on, when Laylaw decided the password for the night was Vinegar Hill.
Yeah.
a lot of blokes bolted because they didn't want to be involved in this Irish separatist stuff.
Exactly.
So there was a few errors of judgment made by the diggers, or by Layla and the leaders of the Eureka Stockade.
Yeah, and like when we talk about a stockade, it wasn't really.
No.
It wasn't a fortification.
No.
It was.
Well, and you got to remember, you're looking at a ramshackle bunch of miners from all sorts of background fighting a professional army.
Yeah.
2 regiments of foot of the British Army.
Yeah.
One of the finest records of any army in the world, the British Army.
Yeah.
And these boys knew how to colonise the place and shoot at stuff.
Yeah.
So when you're going to take them on, you're going to be in a bit of trouble. I mean, the actual battle only lasted for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there was a bit of bayoneting and atrocities afterwards.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was inevitable, and I mean, I don't think they're ever going to win the battle, but they did win the war.
Yeah. So Bakery Hill, right? Layla becomes a leader, right? He calls for volunteers.
Yep.
And if you're not going to swear allegiance, and like the I was going to read that, but
Eureka
never got
oath.
to. Like, there's a whole speech. You can go and see the whole speech online. I'm not going to read the whole speech because that will just bore me and most people watching. So, but this is the oath. We swear by the Southern Cross to stand truly by each other and fight to defend our rights and liberties. But before he asked them to swear, he said, if you don't want to be involved,
Just walk away.
on your bike.
Yeah.
So, and I can imagine those blokes would be tarred with a bit of cowardice.
They wouldn't. They wouldn't have been welcome in the pub.
Yeah, they wouldn't.
Oh, there would have been a bit of peer pressure, is what you're saying.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And
well, look, it was. It's one of those situations you've got to gamble on whether if these boys pull this off,
Yep.
we're all £3 better off a month, and we might get a vote, and we might get something out of this.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it's ingrained in you to follow your instructions, and when the army's marching on you, think twice about standing up to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's not going to end well for you.
And then so we're talking now. This happened on about the 30th of December, right? 29th and 30th of December.
Yep.
All this is happening, right? So, and while all that is happening, the doves, how you described them before, they were trying to negotiate all this down.
Yeah.
Right. So, but we then come to, well, before we get to the 2nd and 3rd of December, right? Do you want to? We've got a picture here of of Victoria, in Victoria here. Where's this?
Oh, this
picture?
is interesting. Guy from Darkside sent this to me. This is the old Rock Bank Inn, and it's believed that the 2 regiments of foot, the 40th and the 12th, marched from Melbourne, and they spent their first night at the Rock Bank Inn on their way to the diggings. And
is that all that's left there?
Yeah, well, it's of course it's heritage listed by the state of Victoria now as a significant to the state's heritage.
Yeah.
So the 2 regiments of foot camped there that night on their way to the diggings. So at this point, the government decided we're going to have to do something. Something's brewing up in the goldfields. We're going to have to sort it out.
Yeah.
So they dispatched the troops. I think it was 296 troops.
Yeah, just shy of 300, something like
300
that.
soldiers.
Yeah.
Now, don't forget, these are all professional soldiers. They're well armed, they're well trained, they're well drilled.
Yep.
Against a bunch of ramshackle diggers.
Yeah.
Who just had a principle at heart and not much else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they had no military skills. There might have been some extra military blokes there, but and they all knew how to shoot. But
well, so did the diggers.
So, yeah.
Because
that's what I mean. No, the diggers knew how to shoot.
Yeah.
But you know, and the question is who fired first, because it'd be a brave man who shot first at a redcoat. I would have thought.
Well, so you've like okay, so Saturday night.
No, this is the
right.
classic. This is the classic.
1,200 men.
Yeah.
Right, and they've sent up
300 troops.
redcoats. Right,
Which looks good for the Eureka rebels.
Yeah, it looks really good for the Eureka rebels. Now, so there's 2 theories here. Like all of these stories get lost and get confused. It's like Lassiter. It's
Anyone who writes a new history is only drawing on old written history. So, obviously, there's no one alive who was there.
Yeah. So, and I think it's probably a combination of both.
Yeah.
Saturday night, on the gold fields. All this has been going on. There's a bit of stress. The boys let their hair down, right?
What do?
Get on the sauce.
Yeah, you go to the pub.
Go to the pub.
So everyone,
you go down the
not the Eureka in, I might add, because
no. But
yeah.
I'm sure there'd be
plenty of blokes selling grog
and
there
ladies of the night.
Oh, definitely.
Can we call it? Is that a good way to describe it without getting into trouble?
And there would have been thousands of them in Ballarat at the time.
Yeah.
So they thought we'll take a break, and the reason they thought we'll take a break and go and have a bit of a drink,
it's Sunday.
It's the Sabbath in the morning.
Yep.
There's no way the Queen's infantry are going to attack us on the Sabbath.
We're going to go to church. Yeah.
So what happened?
So then the other theory is that there was false reports coming in to the Stockade saying the Redcoats are here.
Yeah.
Right? So they were sending out parties, scouting parties, and the California...
this is interesting. The California Independent Mounted... What did they call themselves? California... Independent California Rangers. They were all mounted... They were mounted troops, obviously from California diggers.
Yep.
They would have had a massive impact on the battle.
How many was there? About
200.
Oh, it was 200 mounted.
Yeah. So, but they got dispatched on a recon mission because, as you said, they thought they didn't know where the Redcoats were, and they were going to look for where were the Redcoats marching. Like, obviously, there's no Facebook in 1854. No one knew what was going on.
No.
So they didn't know where they were. There was no form of communication whatsoever.
Yeah.
So
they got to go and look.
They got to go and look. So where are the Redcoats? So off goes the California Rangers head off on their horses. Now, had they stayed at the Stockade, you can only imagine the difference it would have made.
Well, 3 o'clock that morning.
3 a.m. Sunday morning.
Yep. There's 200 miners left out of the 1,200 men.
Yeah, and most of them would have been hungover.
Hungover?
Yeah,
Still drinking? Where's me Schneider?
I know. And I mean, the point being about the Rangers and how the critical points in what happened at Eureka is that they never would have won. They may have even won the battle.
Yeah.
But they were never going to win the war.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think. But in the end, they won the war because they lost the battle.
Yeah, and it could have turned out very, very differently if the miners had just wiped the Redcoats out.
It would have got super serious.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll pause there.
Yeah.
I'm Ben from Gold Diggers. This is Warren from NQ Explorers. So don't forget we're drawing this prize out in about 20 minutes time, 25 minutes time. So all you need to do is share this live stream to win the Ace 200. It'll just go out we'll fire up the randomiser in about 25 minutes, and yes, we'll get this out I'll send that out to someone later on. So, what else have we got here? So, and before I forget.
Okay, you got bit of admin to do.
Admin. Last week I forgot to contact the person who won the Woody Foot that we talked about last week for the SDC, but Peter won the Woody Foot. I've talked to him this afternoon, and that go out tomorrow to him. I think that's.
There were some questions. Did you have some of these questions? We're going to wait till after.
We may as well clean this up.
Yeah.
We're getting towards the end here, so.
Yeah.
So.
3 a.m.
3 a.m. Boys have been on the grog. Don't know where anyone is.
Don't know. It's dark.
And
they haven't got a really good fortification. The stockade itself was just a bunch of upside down wagons and barrels and stuff.
Yeah. And someone described it as more to keep the blokes in than keep anything out.
Yeah.
So it was one of those jobs.
So the battle itself lasted for 10 minutes.
10 minutes, 15 minutes.
It's done.
Yeah.
Layla gets shot in the arm.
Yep.
And he gets sent away. He loses his arm eventually.
Yep.
As it amputated.
Yeah. Here we got a picture of
because
our
and
man.
Of course, after the battle, he rose to prominence in Victorian Parliament.
Yes, he did. Yes, representing the miners, of course.
Yeah. This is the bit about losing the battle and winning the war, because the result of the loss. And it was pretty atrocious. Some of the incidents in the battle were pretty horrendous.
Yeah.
Like the 2 IC of the Redcoats had to stop. He threatened to shoot any of his own men if they didn't stop bayoneting injured miners.
Yeah.
Like it was just got silly.
It was.
There was accounts of women throwing themselves on their husbands' bodies to try to stop the carnage, and like it was just when the outrage It was a PR disaster for the government.
Yeah, exactly.
All over the colony, and not just Victorian, the colonies.
Yeah.
At the time.
Yeah.
Like they just, straight away, everyone was just appalled by what had happened.
Yeah, yeah. So there's
Peter Laylaw.
There's our Peter Laylaw. So that's all well and good, right? So martial law after that, 22 miners and 5 soldiers killed in action. Martial law is established, and there was about 120 arrested.
Arrested and put
right?
it,
Now, just to give you a bit of an idea of, there was only one, out of all the people who were arrested, there was only one man who was born in Australia.
Right.
The rest were immigrants.
Yeah.
Right? So, out of all those people, only one was Australian born. Isn't that incredible?
Yeah, it is. Well, just shows you.
Because it's 1855, right? It's not
I know.
1800.
That's right. The first baby was born in 1789 or something.
Yeah.
So there's a few Aussies around.
Yeah.
But to me, that illustrates the transient nature of
the gold
19th century gold rushes.
Yeah.
Like people come from all over the world.
Yeah.
Like you said, it bailed out Britain from an economic
because it all went back there.
And all these blokes in Britain are going, hang on a minute, I'm going to Australia. We're going to dig up.
Look at all this stuff
going on here.
Yeah.
And it's warm and sunny. Parts of it are. But you know what I mean? That's the cosmopolitan makeup of the diggers is a thing of the times. And like I said, as a unique thing to the 19th century, because they had transport. They could get from California to Australia in a reasonable amount of time.
Yep.
You know, you could get overland from Sydney to Melbourne in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
Not half your lifetime.
Yeah.
And because of telegraph and stuff which has been developed, they knew about these things that were actually happening.
Yeah. It wasn't very quick.
It wasn't quick.
But
the news was getting out.
Yeah.
And the news of the Eureka Stockade spread like wildfire, so it was very counterproductive what had happened for the government's cause.
Absolutely.
I mean, and in the end, like I said, they won the war because they got the miners right.
Yeah.
And they got the vote, representative vote. And they couldn't buy land either prior to the miners right.
Yeah, well, so part of all this, so we've sort of, so in March of 1855, the Royal Commission was established, and that's how that came about, where the miners got the right to vote.
Yep.
And as soon as the redcoats and the government took the foot off the neck, right, the Ballarat, Bendigo, the whole area ran dramatically smoother than what it...
Yeah, because it was just well, in the end, you don't think, even though there was so much money coming out of the goldfields, the government, like I said, the drain of skilled labour, because the colonies were only, like you showed me the population figures for Victoria there.
Yeah, well,
they exploded during the gold rush.
So 1851, Victoria, there was 76,000. 10 years later, there was 540,000.
Over 500,000.
Yeah.
So that's the effect, and it's not just gold. It's, you think economically what that does to a system. Everyone's earning money.
How much beef do you need?
Yeah, I know, exactly.
How much mutton?
Yeah,
you know,
it just goes on and on and on.
Not
How many bricklayers and farmers
and grog.
And grog.
Like, that's a dramatic increase in grog.
Yeah, the sales of grog would have gone. VB would have been on the rise.
Yeah. So, that's where we left with, and this is a much later miners' rise. This was actually sent in by one of the guys, one of the viewers.
This is 1860s one, is it?
Yeah, this is 1860. This is the old miners' right.
£1. So it's still a quid, though.
Yeah, but this is 10, 15 years later.
Yeah.
Right? This is 10 years later. So was sent in by Moth Tickle, one of the viewers. So it was that's an old miners' right from 18. What date was that on? 1864. So that's 10 years later, and it was £1.
This is £1, and you had the right to vote, and you could buy land in the colony.
Absolutely,
which didn't happen before.
No, that's right. So that's a pretty good summary of Eureka Stockade.
Yeah, and from that, the Australian colonies were pretty unique in the British Empire because they got self-governance very early.
Yeah.
And this is one of the things that pushed it along, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because in the end, the imperial government didn't want another America situation where you had a war of independence.
Yeah.
And you lost a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They hung on to us for a while.
Yeah.
And because all that money that was coming out of this, it was just staggering the amount of money that came out of Victoria.
Yeah.
With the gold rush.
Yeah. So it was, just a huge changing point in Australia,
absolutely. And democracy.
Yeah, and the attitudes of Australians all the way through to today. It's such a huge. I think that and Gallipoli was probably the two forming things.
Well, that's what I mean. Like the whole Eureka thing is, these diggers are okay. We're trying to make a quid here, and the government's on your back all the time.
Yeah.
And they just went, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
This isn't right.
Yeah.
Just get off our back, and that's basically what happened.
Yeah.
Like you keep pushing us, something's going to happen, and the government must have known. The government must have known it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
It was just that oppressive, the situation.
Yeah.
And when the bloke's not allowed to buy you couldn't even buy a block of land in Ballarat.
No.
Or you know what I mean? And now all of a sudden, you've got a local member who really cares about your welfare, because if you don't like him, you won't vote for him and he won't get re-elected.
Yeah.
I mean, that just makes sense.
Yeah.
But it gets back to what we were saying before about the Australian psyche is this we don't like authority.
Yeah, exactly.
And like you said, plenty of stories of the first Anzac in Egypt where,
they just did whatever they want.
Unless they were fighting someone, they weren't happy.
Yeah.
If they were fighting the enemy, that was good. But if they weren't fighting, like especially Australia and New Zealand, if they weren't fighting the Turks or the Germans, they're fighting each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the English, there's a punch up somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, don't push me around. Like, just
yeah.
It's that kind of attitude.
And you can imagine being an officer trying to control these blokes. You just
that's the whole thing about the armed forces, and I've been in the armed forces. It's not a democracy, the armed forces.
No.
And so when you think about it, it doesn't sit well with an Australian to have an officer class.
Yeah.
Because traditionally the officer class were aristocracy.
Yeah, exactly.
But it couldn't be the case in Australia. Obviously, we didn't want any aristocracy. And when they wrote the Constitution in the late 1800s, Parkes wrote it. They went out of their way to make sure there was no aristocracy.
Yeah.
And you had absolute equal rights for everybody. Well, incidentally, is an interesting thing for any Kiwis watching. It's in the Australian Constitution. If New Zealand wants to join as the seventh state, you're always welcome.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's in the Constitution.
Is that?
It's actually in the Australian. When they wrote the Constitution, because there were 7 colonies, and New Zealand was one of them.
Yeah.
And we said, okay, you guys, you can become. Strangely, the Kiwis have never had any interest in joining the Australia.
Well, it could work out well for pies at McDonald's.
It could do. That could be the end, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Become a state, and we'll let you sell your Georgie pies all over Australia. And there's a lot of Australians.
Yes.
And they eat pies.
Yes. Exactly. Yes.
Funny how that's all come together, isn't it?
Oh, it's tied up in a nice, neat little bow, isn't it? Like,
so I don't understand why the New Zealand colony decided not to become the 7th state.
Yeah. So, through Eureka, there's all sorts of artwork that's been done, and there's stacks and stacks of stuff that there's around.
Yeah.
That shows the history of the Eureka Stockade, and also the stuff like these shows at Sovereign Hill, like in that background we've got going on there. So I think that'd be a good thing to go to. It's a big light show, and, it's all set up. And
I've been there many years ago, but it was.
I think I've been there as a kid
when it was early on in the.
Yeah.
And the other interesting about the Eureka flag, which is in the museum in Ballarat, the original flag, from what I understood, one of the troopers took it. We pulled the flag down, and it ended up being found. I think I'll have to check that, but it was being found it was in a drawer in a house in Melbourne or somewhere for many years until it was found again and authenticated as the actual flag.
Yeah.
Like that trooper's family had it for a long time, and I think he donated it to the Victorian government.
Okay, so but was that flag made by Layla's wife?
I thought it was, but then they got, because it was a Canadian guy who designed it, they reckon. Well, I mean, it's all a bit clouded in history.
Yeah.
And then there was talk that the white, it's based on the Irish flag, but I don't think that's, that was one of the issues that a lot of the miners, apart from the drinkers, went away on Saturday night, was that if they didn't like the whole Irish rebellion type scenario.
Yeah.
It was not, they weren't there about that.
Yeah.
And another thing was, like you said, a lot of them weren't, or most of them weren't natural born Australians.
Yeah.
And they didn't really care about Australian democracy. They just cared about losing £3 a month. And the shocking fees they were paying.
And
so there's all sorts of allegiances, or there was all sorts of reasons that men were at the Stockade.
Yeah.
And so there's all sorts of reasons why they'd leave it.
Yeah.
Like if it didn't suit you, oh, that's not what I'm fighting for. I'll go back to my tent.
And a lot of these blokes were coming from California or coming from other Russias, or not coming from Russia at all, but would arrive here with a pound on them.
Yeah.
Like,
that's right.
They go to the goldfields and they go three quid, thanks. It's like there's a month's wages.
Well,
there's more than a month's wages.
You can work as a labourer.
Yeah.
And you're getting a third of that amount.
Yeah.
And you and I pay if we were working as a partnership on a bit of ground, that's £6.
Yeah.
A month.
It was a.
You got to dig a lot of gold.
It was a huge amount of gold at the time.
Even if you find a lot of gold, you can't eat it.
Yeah. Well.
You know.
You can. Yeah.
You could probably sell it.
Well, yeah.
Which I think happened.
It's pretty. It's pretty saleable.
Yeah, it's pretty sellable.
Yeah. It still is today.
But yeah, it was. You can understand there was a stupendous. Of course, I think a miner's right in Victoria now is $25.
Yeah.
For 10 years.
And it's got a lot of the same. Like, one of the unique things about Victoria, and WA is very, very similar, is that a lot of those old rights are still tied to that miner's right.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas in Queensland, or like...
It's just a fossicking licence.
It's a fossicking licence, and it gives you... allows you for nothing.
You've got no rights at all. It's all at the discretion of whoever pulls you up and asks you for your licence.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, past shows we've been talking about, the high banker situation in New South Wales.
Yep.
The high banker situation in Queensland, where you can't use power equipment in a prospecting area.
Yep.
When I was in New South Wales last week before I went over to Victoria, and I didn't talk to a ranger directly, but a couple of prospectors who had, and he didn't know what the law was. He said, I wouldn't pull you up because I've got no idea, because there's that many legislations.
Yeah.
Like, it depends where you are, who pulls you up. Are you under forestry? Are you under fisheries? Are you under the prospecting licence? Are you under whatever?
Is it trespass?
Is it trespass? Yeah, exactly.
They got no
There's
idea.
all sorts of jurisdiction questions, and it's just a big... And like you said earlier on, no one in Queensland's ever been...
No one's been...
Pulled up on it.
No one's been fined. As far as I know, no one's been fined for using power equipment in a fossicking area.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a...
It's just one of those things where the all conflicting legislation. It's all restrictive legislation.
Yeah.
And I don't mind that so much if I understood why they did it. I don't understand what the power equipment problem is.
Yeah.
Just clarify it for me.
Yeah.
Put out a pamphlet. This is why we're doing this. You can't do that.
Yeah. And if it's a reasonable...
Like they do with the Great Barrier Reef with the fish A's. Like, this is where you can't go, it's a green zone, whatever, scientific zone.
Yep.
Don't go here, don't go there. We're trying to restock this. We've got coral bleaching there. Okay, I get all that. I'm not going to bother with it.
Yeah.
But just give me your, don't just come and say, oh, you can't. But Queensland, there's bollards and chains across every track you come across.
Oh, and...
Like the other day, you're trying to get into that spot you were looking at.
Don't you tell where the spot is. You're going to let my spot out.
Oh,
yeah. So you're allowed to walk in.
Yeah, you can walk in.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can't get, like, this is an area that's 6,000 hectares. Like, do you know how long it's going to take to walk into the centre of that?
I know.
And it's like this.
And you got to go back. You're only halfway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
It's mountain goat country.
Yeah.
So, like, and there's tracks all through it.
Yeah. But they're all closed to vehicles.
Closed, no, sorry, nature.
Yeah.
And then that's just that one stake forest. But when I was trying to explore, because... I'm trying to get into a little area to do a little bit of prospecting, see whether there's anything there. So I drove around that area, and there is lock gates across roads for nature's reserves, gazetted roads with lock gates, nature's reserves, where, like, what, driving down a track...
They are gazetted roads.
Like...
Well, they do. I mean, I can understand some areas that they have issues with, noxious weeds getting into forests, and they've got to control... movement of soil and all that sort of stuff, that's fine. And like motor vehicles and trail bikes do stir that up, and they transport it. That's fine, but just say so. Look, we've got issues with this.
Yeah.
Don't just lock it out and say you can never come into the state forest.
Yeah. Like I did 600 k's trying to get into this
around it.
Trying to get into the state forest, right? And came up to a lock gate every time.
That's what I just love about Central Victoria. There's so much of it still forest. It's still accessible to the public. You drive around those back roads all around Maldon, Castlemaine, you know, through the Wombat and up into Bendigo.
But that's now. They're closing it
I know,
up.
this is the thing. And you can see your mouth's watering because there's old diggings all through the forest.
Yep.
And you can pull up and get out of your car and walk in there anytime you like and do what you want.
Yeah.
But there's a possibility that's going to end.
Well,
you know, there's talk of the government shutting it down.
Well, there is.
This is not, Eureka too.
Oh, the problem is that there's not. You'd like to think. I'm trying not to get myself into trouble here.
No,
right?
you got to be. That's right.
But
we're not.
That magistrate owing
that
that bloke money.
Yeah.
Right. Like.
So you're tying the current situation in Victoria to a corrupt magistrate in 1854?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I see the connection, direct connection.
Well, the direct connection about me getting in trouble, yeah. But has the government just got smarter at hiding, you know, and we're not talking about corruption, but it's, you know, the Greens will give the Labor Party the votes.
That's for sure, that's what it is.
And like it's all
these
this
electorates. Whose electorates in this
tied up into this? You know, well, we've got to give the Greens something, bugger the people.
Yeah.
Have we got to give this? You know, like
we won't get that Green vote unless that
we do this,
locks that forest up or whatever.
What about what's best for Australia?
I know.
Or the majority of Australians.
Well,
isn't that what we're talking about?
The point being that they lose. They're not representing their electorate. They're representing their party.
Yeah, they're trying to progress their own.
That's right.
Well-being.
That's our high horse
which
for this evening.
Which is probably a definition of corruption.
Well, it's legal corruption, but yeah. Let's qualify that.
Yeah.
But the point being that the whole point of representation democracy is that they do what we want.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the other way around.
Exactly.
Now, if the majority of people in your, within reason, if the majority of people in your electorate are outdoors people, and you have a rural electorate with large areas of state forest where a lot of the economy, and I'm talking about Central Victoria, is based on prospectors and prospecting.
Yep.
And it's not directly, I'm talking about indirectly, all the service industries and everything that goes with it.
Yep.
Little towns like Inglewood and Maldon and all that sort of thing.
Yep.
Every weekend there's people up there drinking coffee and buying fuel and whatever.
Meat pies.
Yep. Well, there's no McDonald's in Maldon, I noticed. There's another in for the Kiwis.
Yeah.
But, you know, that economy is based on access to the outdoors.
It's tourism.
Yeah, access to the outdoors.
Yep.
And if you're going to shut that outdoors up...
And it's not just prospecting. Like, they're not closing prospecting down. They're closing...
Equestrian riding.
Equestrian, motorbikes.
I know.
Like, they're just shutting the whole...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the bird watchers.
Yeah. I mean, how much impact can a bird watcher have?
I know. Why stop him walking in there and taking a photograph?
Like...
No access. Or you'll have to negotiate access. Or pay a fee or something.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, it'd be interesting.
Fine.
It'd be interesting to know how, what legal, we'll pay the fine, get caught and pay the fine. What does the Victorian Miners' Right actually legally cover you for anymore?
Yeah.
That's a big question. I don't know the answer.
Yeah. And that could be a whole.
That could be, is it just called a miners' right because that's what's printed on the bit of paper, or is it actually a right?
Yeah. Exactly.
We need a Queen's Counsellor on here.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. Do we? And I don't think, because the legislation is also confusing and conflicting.
Yeah, and every state's different.
And how do you stay on top of it?
Yeah, we end up in the High Court and you spend $3 billion.
Yeah, exactly. So, Right, so what time is it? So, we might just let this run for another 5 minutes or so because we got on our little bit of a story here. So tonight we're giving away an Ace 200. For those that don't know, I'm Ben from Gold Diggers. This is Warren from NQ Explorers. We got a big push on at the moment to get Warren subscribed to Warren's YouTube channel.
YouTube, yeah.
We are so close to getting to 10,000. then Warren I think he promised to do a bloopers video as well of
No,
all
I
the
won't.
times that we're falling over. Didn't we talk about that a month ago?
I've got plenty of footage to fuel that video.
And you're going to do some sort of giveaway, I
Oh,
believe.
yeah, and someone said, what's the YouTube link? Oh, it's YouTube.
Yours.
Oh, my YouTube link.
Yeah.
Oh, it's NQ Explorers. So it's youtube.com. Or just go on YouTube and type NQ Explorers, and we'll pop up. We've got over 200 videos in there.
Yeah. And this is sorry to do this, but this is that's
burning of the NQ Explorers flag at the Eureka Hotel.
Exactly. That's the symbol you're looking for when you go on the YouTube. that little gem there. So
here's a good question from Michelle. Do you think women were allowed to miners' right? It was only men. I'm pretty confident it was only men.
Only men.
See, Australia, the first country in the world to give the suffrage to women was New Zealand.
Right.
Well, they could have been part of Australia, but they weren't. Once again, and the second it was Australia was one of the Australian colonies. I think it might have been Victoria.
Yeah.
So
Victoria was very progressive.
Yeah, it was.
After
but
this.
it was after 1900.
Yeah.
I think it's 1901 or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Women got the vote in Victoria.
Yeah.
So in 1854, women had very little rights, I'm afraid to say. Mind you, the Australian colonies weren't overpopulated with women. They were by the 1850s, they were getting up there, but early on they weren't.
No, there were a lot of
It was
blokes.
just mostly men.
Yeah.
And the free settlers sort of bolstered it and families started coming out. And of course there were a lot of women convicts, but nothing like the number of men.
Yeah.
And of course you've got to realise that the convict heritage, I mean 70% of convicts were just petty crime.
Yeah.
Like it was like subsistence living in England.
Oh, yeah, it was just still.
You know what I
it
mean?
was still a loaf of bread.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it was.
that's a classic, and you were getting 7 years transportation for that.
Yeah, exactly. So.
And there was a lot of what you call now corporate crime, accountants, fudging the books and that kind of stuff, and they get sent quite white collar crime.
Yeah.
They get transported to the colonies, and often when they got out of here, they got when they were pardoned, they weren't going to go back.
No. Well, they probably.
In fact, my ancestors who were convicts, one of my ancestors was transported for 7 years for stealing a silver ore. He was found with silver ore in his pocket from a mine.
Oh, really?
In Ireland, and he had a family in Ireland, got 7 years transportation, just remarried out here and didn't go back.
Yeah, well,
Don't know about the other family.
But back then,
you know what I mean?
it was
Just
such a long way.
Oh,
It was.
It's just an effort to go back.
Yeah.
And you've got a wife and kids back there. And,
Yeah. So
start
I
again.
got sent a photo through the week.
oh yeah.
There's Warren on his magical tour that he travels around the country. That's Brett Nicole. But
So this is a good story, yeah.
But they just recently found their first pair of nuggets up at Claremont.
Nice bit
So
of gold, isn't it?
it's a lovely bit of gold. That so.
And don't forget that container they got in is about a metre across. Big piece of gold.
Big lump of gold. That.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's about 6 kilos worth. There.
Yeah.
No, but that's a beautiful piece of gold for
It
your
is.
first bit of gold.
Looks like a turtle.
Yeah, it does look a bit like a turtle, doesn't it? Yeah. So.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Yeah, nice work, guys. So
They put some hours in to get that.
yeah, they have.
But
Yeah,
they've
they
made
worked
it now.
hard. Yeah. Right, so we're going to draw this. We've gone about 10 minutes over. We're going to go more than 10 minutes over, but we're going to draw this prize, the Ace 200, in about 3 minutes. So we'll just get some questions and then.
Okay, Dion's question: when did the Aboriginals get the right to vote? That was 1967.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it was one of the.
It amazes me the information that's inside your head.
No.
I thought we'd have to go to
because
the internet for that.
No. It was the referendum. One of the very few. I think there's only 2 referendum items ever got up that been successful in Australia. That was one of them. I don't remember the other. I know there was a lot during the First World War when Billy Hughes was. This is good. Another thing you got to remember about the Anzac, the first Anzac. There was no conscription in World War One. They were all volunteers.
Well,
They only had conscription in World War Two and beyond.
no, but yes, they did.
Yeah.
But they did dictate things a little bit.
Oh, there was the people were encouraged.
Encouraged, yeah.
We'll call it.
Like World War One,
Yeah.
a lot of the blokes were still out in the goldfields.
Yeah.
The miners' right prices went up.
Yeah, that's right.
The gold price was artificially
Yeah,
lowered.
And of course,
And it was
in those
was a
days it
problem.
would have been enormous. If your mates were all going, it'd be tough. And people were given like yellow ribbons for not going, and also
Yeah,
there's a lot of stigma about that.
exactly,
But my point being about the Aboriginal vote, So I think there was 2 referendums in the First World War, went to the public, and neither of them got up about conscription. We said no conscription, even though we had 66,000 men killed.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I knew what there was another Second Amendment to the Constitution, but 1967 for the Aboriginal people, that was just overwhelming.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a long time.
I am amazed that you know this. Like,
No.
is there
It's
anything
70
you
years.
don't know?
Like, women got the vote in Australia 70 years before Aboriginals were even recognised as people to be counted in a census.
Yeah.
I mean, and don't forget, Aboriginal people fought in both World Wars.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anyway,
we can't judge people of other times.
no. We can, but
we can,
wrong.
and we will.
Yeah. And quite often we're wrong.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh.
what about say about the coffee cups there, Ben? You might be able to help with that.
So, there's been a lot of questions, particularly about the socks
Well, the socks are going
and
off.
the cups, right? So, Gold Diggers cups. No. Okay. So, Monday Night Live, cups and socks and bags and all that sort of stuff. What I wanted to do before I really released it to you guys is actually order them. I've ordered it all to make sure it's not rubbish. So, before I release it. So, in the next week
a bit
or
of quality
so,
control
going on.
So you're going to be running around in these socks?
I am. Yep.
And all the other
I hate
good
to tell you this, but so are you.
Oh,
I bought you a pair of socks.
I hope they're camo.
No.
I know I'm pretty sure they're white.
You haven't even seen the logo
Okay,
yet.
righto.
So that's what I'm waiting for. That's the hold up. I just want to make sure they're not rubbish and everyone wastes their money, sort of thing. So that will happen shortly. I've already got a bag. One of the bags come in, but I'm waiting for all the other stuff.
Backpack?
It's a backpack. Yeah. So we'll see. I just want to make sure it's all right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Here's a good comment from Helen, and we'll have to support the women of Australia. She said Australia was built by strong women who stood behind their men. I can attest to that.
And in front of them.
And in front of them and all around them.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, just getting back to Eureka, like I said, there were women throwing themselves
Yep.
on the men to stop getting them bayoneted by the redcoats.
Absolutely.
And Colleen and I spent a lot of time in the outback at old ghost towns, like Western Queensland, where it's absolute desolation. You've got copper smelters and copper mines and silver mines, gold mines, incredibly remote in the 1870s.
Yep.
And you just got to go to the cemetery and look at how many women are having 5 and 6 kids, and 4 of them will die before they're 12 months old.
Yeah.
And these women are living in corrugated iron shacks in 50-degree heat, day after day, in red dirt with no medical help.
Yeah.
Supporting their men.
Scratching and
cooking dinner.
Scratching around.
Oh, unbelievable. Following them all over the country.
Yeah.
So, I mean, absolutely, I agree with that 100%.
Unbelievable.
100%. We're all Aussies.
Yep.
And the women have got the same attitude, don't tell me what to do, as the men.
Exactly.
I've noticed that.
Yeah. I've well and truly noticed that. Don't worry about that. I think my wife's probably asleep by now, but let me tell you. Yeah. Yes. Right, so we got a few more questions there, but we might just draw this prize. So tonight's prize was Garrett Ace 200. So this is going to go out to a lucky punter. Let me just run the randomiser here, and we'll see how we go here. Righto, tonight's winner is Jimmy. Where's Jimmy from? Jimmy has it all closed down, so I don't know where Jimmy's from. So, but Jimmy, you have won a metal detector.
Oh, congratulations, Jimmy.
I will contact you straight after the show and organise to get that sent out to you tomorrow. So well done, Jimmy. Congratulations on that, mate. And we'll just get a... Peter asked, what's the randomiser?
It's a large steam-driven boiler built by Babcock and Wilcox in 1895.
Yes.
Takes us hours to get it fired up, and
Yeah.
it's got a big flywheel off the side and some leather belts and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
And a
but
door from a Dodge.
A door from a Dodge that we found out at Warwick. Yeah.
So it's a mechanical machine that randomly picks
stuff
a-
off Facebook.
off Facebook.
It's got an app built into it.
No, it's a yes. It picks a It's a random picker.
Here's a good question from I don't know who or whom.
Whom?
Okay, what's your favourite moment in Australian history?
Oh,
Ben.
Gallipoli.
Okay.
By far and away.
Yep.
Those blokes are just... Imagine standing there on that beach, getting mowed down, right, and still going up the hill.
I know.
Right?
And just keep going.
And just keep going and keep going. And people are getting mowed down and mowed down. Your mates beside you getting mowed down.
I know.
And the boats are just bringing more people to the beach. More people to the beach.
Keep going.
And
they're not professional soldiers.
no, we dug in there for a long time and then decided, oh, bugger, this isn't too hard.
Yeah.
Right? Or the leadership did.
Yeah, I know.
And it was the leadership that
It was
cocked
like you
it
said
up.
earlier, these glorious failures. Eureka was a glorious failure. We won the war.
Yep.
And Gallipoli was the same sort of thing. It was a glorious failure.
Exactly.
But there's no shame in defeat or losing or retreating.
No, like...
We've got plenty of glorious wins too, but you know what I mean?
What's
New South Wales State of Origin. Who said that?
Jesus, we're in trouble here. So what's yours? Let's move back to this before we get into trouble here.
It was last night. No. My favourite moment in Australian history, this is tied up in a bigger legend, which is pretty well known, okay, old Ned Kelly. I reckon something that there's a point in Ned Kelly's whole story that sort of, to me, epitomises Australian mateship. And that's after his brother and Joe Byrne, was it? Is in the hotel. They're dead.
Yep.
They burnt the place to the ground. The traps have shot him out. He's the last one alive.
Yep.
But no, I think they're all dead. Oh no, hang on, I'll get this right in a minute. But anyway, the next morning he wakes up and he's unconscious, and he's outside the circle of the troopers.
Yeah.
And he's looking at him, and they're shooting at the hotel.
Yeah.
He's behind him.
Yeah.
This is Ned's chance to get away. He could have got away.
Yeah.
Slunk off into the bush.
Yep.
Never be seen again. But what did Ned do?
Yeah.
He got up to help his mates, and he walked back in firing behind the troopers. He just went back into it.
Yeah.
He didn't pull away.
Yeah.
That's what Aussies tend to do. They just help their mates, and you see it all the time. Like all sorts of situations where, no matter what the cost, what's going on, you've got to help your mate. Gallipoli. So there's millions of stories from Gallipoli.
And you even think about Sovereign Hill. Eureka Stockade. They're all sticking together, helping their mates out.
Yeah,
sort of
we mightn't get through this, but we're just going to hang together. And I just, the moment he got up and went back into the battle when he didn't have to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so many. I mean, there's plenty of awesome Australian historical moments, but and I think unfortunately these days, when I was a kid, there was a lot of Australian history was still taught in schools. It's not so much now.
No, it's not. No.
People don't know anything about the Rum Rebellion or Governor Bligh or, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I know, like, from a media point of view, of course, we're swamped with Americana and what it was like in the Wild West, but our West was a lot wilder than the American West.
Oh, yeah.
And it was rougher and it was tougher and there's no law.
Yeah. And wasn't it like our Wild West was later?
Yeah. And so the technology was better?
Yeah.
Better weapons? I had George and Tim, my mates out here from America, and one of their favourites was Billy the Kid, and it's a good story, but when we went through Glenrowan, and I tell them about Ned Kelly.
Yeah.
And then you show them the suits of armour, and it's just, you think, you couldn't make this story up.
Yeah, exactly.
What's going on? It's just an unbelievable story.
Yeah.
That they even happen. And it's not just them, there's some of those bushrangers, some of them were cold-blooded killers, but there's some pretty colourful bushrangers out there that were a product of that time.
Yeah.
And fantastic stories, and none of that history's, it's not even spoken of anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, you can find it if you want to look for it.
Oh, it's all there.
There's people writing it.
Yeah.
But by and large, I'd like to see a lot more colonial Australian historic movies.
Oh.
What happened to making good movies about the 1850s and 1860s? I don't mean about a Eureka in particular, but just a good yarn.
But, yeah, I think the problem with that is that all the kids these days want explosions.
They want Marvel Comics, Captain America.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
So actually, there's another thing we mentioned about when we get back to metal detecting, about the Holy Grail of metal detecting, the buttons from the 40th or the 12th Regiment of Foot.
Yeah. Which are the two regiments
that marched on Eureka.
Yep.
Pretty awesome find.
Oh, there wouldn't be many of them. there wouldn't be a lot of
there
them.
wouldn't be a lot of
No.
them,
So, yeah.
no.
Righto. So, that might be us for tonight.
No.
Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us again tonight. Great show. Thanks for coming along, Warren. That was
good to
that
be
was
along.
fantastic. So, so next week it's just me, I believe. So we'll pick up an amazing subject and we'll do something with it. And we'll see you all next week. Good night, everyone. Thank you.